Hey, good morning. It's Dr. James. I do hope and pray this message finds you and your loved ones peaceful, thriving, and well. So this message is a continuation from a message I did a few weeks ago, which got a lot of people asking a whole bunch of questions, mostly in private, which I really respected because I think a lot of people were asking me questions in private because of their own experience or the experience that they're presently going through in relationship to drugs, alcohol, addiction, depression, PTSD, all the things I shared a few weeks back that I went through. And I wanted to share a little bit more about this because many people were asking, like, "Oh my gosh, did you have like a DUI? Did you get arrested? Did something horrible happen? Like some sort of tragic event?" And all of a sudden, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta stop doing the drugs and alcohol." Well, it wasn't any of those things, thank God, but it was deeply, deeply dark in its own way. I was in trouble. I was in a deep emotional turmoil. I was dark and depressed. I didn't really want to live anymore. And I think the pain that I was in, I was using drugs and alcohol as a way to anesthetize myself, to not have to look, not have to feel the depth of my pain and despair. And there was also that with, I think, what I call a preview of coming attractions, seeing family members, generations of family members of my family that struggled deeply with alcohol and a lot of other issues. So I think I was like seeing that and going, "Oh my goodness, this is your life, Jimmy. This is what is waiting for you if you keep going in this direction." So I had to work on my belief system, and it was not at all easy. It was hard as heck. And there's always some things that come into your life, right? There are people, there's things you hear, spiritually, there's something that kind of wells up inside of you and makes an appearance, and you're going, "Oh my gosh, pay attention. This is the thing that maybe this is a lifeline." Well, one of the lifelines was a book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And many people go, "Isn't it a book about being rich? Like, having a ton of money and all those things?" Yes, there's a lot of that about that. But there's also a lot about psychology, and in particular, something called autosuggestion. That's what I want to share with you today, because many of you asked the question like, "Yeah, I'm in a bad place right now. I have addiction issues, or I've got a lot of dark stuff that's circulating. I can't seem to move through it. What are some of the things that you can do?" Well, there was one thing in this book, and again, I was in my early 20s, and no background in psychology, had not yet begun my long journey through undergrad, grad school, medical school, but the beginning of with this book, there was something called autosuggestion, which simply is kind of a fancy way of saying like an affirmation or a mantra. And Napoleon Hill talked about how so many very, very accomplished and abundant people used autosuggestion to change their life, to really build a new belief system. So my belief system up until my early 20s was, you're an alcoholic, you're a loser, you're depressed, there's really no way out, you're not going to amount to anything. I mean, that was my narrative. And that narrative I read and played over and over again, and I lived up to it with the choices I was making in relationships and the things that I did, just reinforcing that narrative. So when I read Think and Grow Rich, and I started practicing the idea of autosuggestion, it was like a simple mantra about being sober, being drug-free, and inserting in my life this idea that self-acceptance, self-awareness, self-compassion, self-love were going to be my new drugs of choice. I was going to be mainlining those things with all of the things I could be doing. I began training, I began running and biking, I started meditating, I changed my group of friends. In fact, I went through a time where I didn't have any friends because all my friends at that time were addicts or alcoholics. And I was like, okay, you don't have enough discipline, enough strength to hang out with those people, so you're going to have to just kind of wall off, find a new group. Well, I couldn't find a new group, and so it was a lot of lonely time, and it was a dark time through that, but I kept on working with my drug of choice, my new belief system, my mantra, my prayer work, my meditation. And what I want to share with you this morning is if you're working on changing a belief system, and your new belief system needs to emerge because you're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't continue on this path. I got to really make some changes." And you know that divergently, your thinking needs to kind of emancipate yourself out of a place where you've been ruminating, where you've been stuck maybe for decades, and you need to lift yourself out. Well, one of the beautiful things about that book that I didn't really fully understand until probably 20 years later was the depth of this idea of divergent thinking, and how changing your belief system is a lot about neuroplasticity and inserting a new belief. And the power of intention. And sometimes when you hear that word, you go, oh, reminds me of sort of The Secret and things like that, which was a very cool movie, but I don't think really get into the depth of how powerful intention is. So first thing in the morning, there's a few minutes when your brain is really open. This is a time where you haven't yet begun falling into your patterns yet. So the pattern is almost without any place to be. So you can kind of insert a new pattern of thinking and being. And when you do this, your body releases something called neuropeptides. Think of neuropeptides as building blocks of your truth, building blocks for your dreams, building blocks for your freedom, to how you want to be leading your life, how you want to see your life. So with that idea of my new drug of choice being affirmations of self-love and self-care, I now understand how powerful that was. I didn't have to intellectually understand it, but spiritually, it changed me. And it made me very, very, very hungry. This deep passion for wanting to learn more and be more and heal and change and transform my life. So I want to impress upon you this morning that every single morning there's a good window. Once you're waking up, you've got a good 3 to 5, maybe even 10 minutes where you can start inserting an affirmation, a vision, a word, something that's divergent, something that's different, something that's raising you up in possibility and potential and purpose. Hold it here, see it, feel it, be it, and trust throughout the day, your brain's going to be working on cultivating and creating and circulating that truth. Because here is the most important thing. When we are imagining this, when we are putting it forward in our life and building those neuropeptides, it comes from a deep place inside of us, which is our truth, the new truth, or the truth that's always been there that got lost to a truth that's no longer serving you, and an opportunity to rise above that truth and create your true depth of truth. So with that, I just hold in my heart that whatever you're working on, you find a place inside of yourself for grace. And you emancipate yourself from this self-oppression. You rise into the truth of who you are. You create a life that you love. That is an absolute demonstration of what's inside of you to be expressed full out and full on. Thank you for listening. I believe in you and I love you. Much love. Bye for now.